Hello, viewers. My name is Aditya, and welcome to another episode of the podcast where I, through my educational journey and my corporate experience, coupled with interactions with business leaders from various business functions, try to walk you through how exactly a business function look like. Let's say, for example, consulting. We covered it in the previous episode. This episode, we are covering product management. So for us, we have our guest here, Sachin Gupta. Sachin is a seasoned product management professional. He has graduated from Delhi University. Then he had a software development stint in Hughes Speak. After that, he did his MBA from IIM Lucknow and had been working across product functions in companies like Shadowfax, Royal Bank of Scotland, ESO, and Zyklus. As we say, product management it's a mini CEO job as well. So he has a stint in entrepreneurship too. He is the founder of Review Bay, where he combined his creative writing with his entrepreneurial skills. So welcome, Sachin. Welcome to the show.
Hey
How
Aditya,
are you?
thanks a lot.
And we have my co-host, Shilpi. Shilpi has
Hi.
been working with Byju's for the past 6 years, which is now India's largest edtech firm. She is
Yeah.
the associate vice president over there and handling corporate and business strategies all across India and global expansion. So, welcome, Shilpi. Welcome to the show.
Hi.
Yeah. So let's start here. I would say so. Let's go back to the very basics. Sachin, you have been a DU pass out. For 5 years at DU. This place has a different vibe altogether. So when you thought of getting into product, what was the thought process?
Liked coding a lot, so I always wanted to become a software engineer, write my frameworks and all. So it all started with that. I did my MSc, then got into Hughes. It was during my stint with RBS that I figured out that I now is the time when I want to go to the other side of the team. So in RBS, I was working on finance products. Like there was this product which is like CBZBA, which is like cross-border zero balancing account. So at that point of time, what used to happen was that BA will come, he will give us requirement, and some or the other time I'll end up saying to myself why we are making it. Who gave
Okay.
these requirements? Maybe I could have done better. So
Right.
those were the thoughts which made me believe like, okay, now I have enough experience of how the things are made, but why they are made or why they should be made. Those are the kind of questions which just channeled me through that, okay, I should be pursuing my MBA and then taking electives over there around strategy, product management, and marketing. Uh, Post that, the career started to some extent into the pure play product management.
Yeah. So can you tell us a little bit about your work at RBS and Shadowfax, like for viewers to get an idea of a feel of how product management is?
So basically, I start from the journey started from Hughes. In Hughes, I was majorly working on telecom products. Like when I say telecom products, they are around your music apps, your voice-based internet protocol, VoIP calls. I was designing servers over there. I was designing applications over there, mobile apps or iPhone, Android. Those kind of work was the Hughes.
Hmm.
Then in RPS, it was a totally different ball game because here it was more around the financial products, which had different kind of need altogether. Like in telecom, maybe I could have done it with okay, one error is okay, nothing works out. But for financial product, that 0.111 kind of accuracy was very important. So those were the bits which I learned over there in these two companies. So in RBS, I was handling these financial products around mostly B2B products, not the retail banking one. So I was part of their business cash management solutions. So all the companies who work across countries.
Right.
So this product which I was referring to, CBZBA, what it does is that generally, if you keep an account with a balance of say less than the threshold amount, you get charged a penalty for that. And these big companies, like working in five different geographies, they might be having that in some country they have less than that particular balance. That year they didn't make profit, so they will incur some expense on it in terms of fees and all. But
Right.
what we used to do was there was a product offering that okay, we will take a cumulative sum of all your balances across countries, and if you meet this, then okay, we'll still give you the privilege of a standard minimum balance amount. So those were the kind of products I was working over there.
Okay.
In Shadowfax, I'm leading more from the e-commerce side. So I take care of the e-commerce business line where we design products for in-house team, wherein all this transportation, logistics, and the routing bits, like right from the picking up the shipment from the customer's premises, then how it gets routed through the internal systems to the last mile delivery. So
Right.
those are my job profile right now at Shadowfax.
Okay.
All right. And also, as for my experience in Shadowfax, since I have also had this chance to work with Sachin, I would like to add here that apart from all of that, he is also interacting with a lot of leadership folks. He's servicing clients like Flipkart, Big Basket, and Nika, where his constant interaction with the CEO of the company, CTO, and now Shadowfax is among the top three e-commerce logistic firms. So that way, we have to give the credit to Sachin here.
No, I think Shadowfax has got a good work culture in terms of because logistics is a very new industry, to be honest. It has just started. It is quite fragmented. There's a lot of opportunity in this space, but still, even after so many startups, the space still remains, or it has still opportunity for a lot of players or a lot of new things to be done. And at Shadowfax, I get that kind of freedom. So if I have a problem, or if somebody, say for example, anybody tells you some requirement, you're not happy with it or you're not convinced with it, like everybody supports you on that. And like we have our own fights in the professional side, but nobody keeps them to heart. And when we are outside of meeting room, we are just like buddies. So I can approach the CTO of the company, I can approach CEO of the company, I can go to them and ask them, okay, why we are doing this. And they will make sure they convince you or they answer your queries that, okay, this is why we are doing it. And if there is something which I project forward, they are more than willing to accept it also. So I think that's the kind of culture which you need. Like if you ask me, like if a product manager has to decide and he's just beginning his career or hasn't been spent much time into this industry, you should look for these companies where you get that kind of exposure. Because while bigger companies might give you that branding, to be honest, but when you work in these small startups with the products from scratch, you do
Right.
get to know the end-to-end supply chain of the particular industry of the what is the product life cycle. And if you are just entering a company which is like such a big company and you work on a very small pieces, sometimes you miss on the holistic picture altogether.
Totally. I would also like to touch upon this particular section on your journey in IIM Lucknow. And so you are in a product management role as well. So we see a lot of product management folks who are MBAs, and some of them are not MBAs. They are just directly in the product management things right after college. So what do you have to say about that? Is MBA necessary for a product management role? And what are the value adds from an MBA in product management?
See, it totally depends on what profile you had earlier and what exactly is your skill set. So, talking about just to give you a brief of product management, it's a relatively new field in India. Like when the startup boom started, then people started appreciating that okay, we should have product managers for a product line, and there is no formal course or some degree which you can do in product management. I think there is one which is being offered by Cornell or some university in US, but apart from that, there is no designated course for product management. It's more of a skill-based job rather than what you can read in the classroom or what you can teach them. MBA helped me because I came from a service industry background and I was a software engineer purely. And if that company had the opportunity for product management, that would have made more sense. Like people who are working in, say, for example, you're already working in Microsoft, or you're working already in Amazon, or for that matter, Shadowfax. If you can get a intra-company shift into the product management role, whatever I learned post my MBA into the product management, you might have had a better chance to learn those things first time. So MBA doesn't teaches you product management. It
Right.
just opens up your holistic perspective. You start seeing that perspective from multiple different, like coming from software engineering. The perspective is more around. You tell them what to do, they will figure out. They will do the optimization, feasibility, but they don't look at the business side. Like what would happen? Why should a particular feature be made and what it will have as a value output to the other persons. So if you're coming from that kind of background, MBA can give you a boost plus it does give you a platform wherein you can actually talk to a lot of people. It gives you some networking opportunities. Like when I started, I remember in my batch, there is not even a single company which came for product management. I literally rejected all the offers I had. So that's how my journey started. So I started as a fresher into product management, even post my MBA and after engineering experience.
Wow.
So it's like I will approach the companies just to tell them, okay, I'm interested in product management, hire me. Forget what I have done.
Okay.
So I started my career as a associate product manager.
Hmm.
So that's how the career started. So if you are going to enter into product management, either if you get a chance just after your college or you work in a startup, take a switch in that, talk to your manager and tell them that, okay, this is what you like. Because it requires a lot of skill based understanding. And when you work with people, then you get to know. Like most of my learning in terms of product management comes from my first startup experience. That was with Esot. So Esot was a small startup in Delhi, and I used to take care of their online business. It's like three people only. But at there, I had the responsibility of like all online presence of that particular business across platforms, across all seller portals. So that gives me a holistic picture that okay, right from manufacturing into China till it gets to my warehouse, then it gets to Amazon's listing, then how Amazon picks it up from my warehouse, and then how I delivered it to the customer. Now imagine the same situation if I would have been working with, say, any mobile handset maker. Okay, they also make similar products. I might have been working in their listing team, or I might have been a category manager, or I might have been a project manager. But that particular role would only know what happens in that particular segment. They will never know what does a forwarder do. What is happening? So if you have a big team, then you might be allocated that okay, you take care of Amazon listing. Your team is responsible for Amazon's operation. But do you know how Paytm seller portal looks like or how Flipkart seller portal looks like? So these small experiences, although as a fresher, we might feel like it was a shocker for me also, like after working for 7 years. And then I started at like APM where I'm working alongside people who have like max 2 years of work. Okay, that was the gap where I started. Now, so that you have to be prepared for it. Like product management is a very dynamic field that number of years of experience doesn't count, more or less. It's more about how you understand things, and that's why you have to be like in that particular space where you like talking to people. Nobody will report to you in product management. I don't have a reportee still. Maybe I'll have one in a couple of days. Like for the past 5 years or 4 years, I've been working like an individual contributor. So most of the work goes in negotiations, persuading other people to do it, and liaising between different people. So the mini CEO actually, when you said, that's why I laughed because theoretically that makes true. Okay, to be honest, but if you look at the ground, there are a lot of glorified things which people think we do, but that's just a 10% of our job. Like when you say, so what comes to your mind if I ask you like what your product manager might be doing? So you tell me like what are the two things on top of your mind which, and then I'll tell you what is the percentage share of it in my daily job.
Okay. So we think about business and customer experience, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's where like, see, so that's what where people fail to understand that when we say product management, it is not just customer experience or it is not just business side. Like right from the when you conceptualize or start researching for that problem statement till the post sales support with the customer. Like a product manager will be involved in different phases. Like if you're not working on multiple products, then it would be like for maybe for initial few days you might be working on the UX piece, or after your research is done, you might be sitting with analysts to figure out the data behind it. You get the backing data with it. Then in the next phase, development starts. Then your job starts to coordinate with the engineers, helping them out. Now, this is the difference between when you coordinate with the service companies engineers and product companies engineers. Because now, when you talk to them, you also have to align them as per your business goals. Like you don't want, like in service company, it's the some other client which is paying you. For product company, we are the cost centers, right? So you have to make them understand like why they are making it, even if it is a small error message, right? Just a basic example. You need to have it clear in your mind why we are making it. So sometimes we get into that. Like, I have also been through this phase, and I still do it sometimes. Like the hunch is actually a problem. Like sometimes we decide to make something on hunch. Like I think this should be made, and that's where everything just crashes down because then it introduces biases. So in terms of skills, those are the basic skills you require. You need to be good with understanding business, reading between the lines, talking to customers like they are your best people. If I am making a software for you or solution for you, and let it be any field, like product management is not just software. Like I work for a logistics companies where the logistics is provided as a productivized service. We're a SaaS-based B2B company. But even if you go to FMCG or even if you go to electronics, they will be having a similar roles over there also. There would be someone who decides like what all features would be going inside an LED TV. You might call them with different names. Okay, you might call them category heads or brand heads or your product heads. But
Yeah.
eventually, there is some person who is responsible for that, who decides what goes inside the product. And it takes a lot of research. So that the glorified things that people think of, that designing UX, that is probably what I'll say, like 10% of my job. But the rest of the times is keeping all your stakeholders happy. Like
Right.
you have to coordinate with marketing, you have to coordinate with sales, your customer support team, your engineer, testing team, your CXO, senior management team, then you have your customers also. So it's like if you look at it from that perspective, it's like quite a mix of, it's a breadth-wise role. It's not a vertical.
Okay.
So product management cuts across verticals. Like you cannot put it that, okay, this is the product manager will work in this particular work. It's a central team which
Hmm.
works with all verticals when the product release is happening or when you're conceiving the product. So does that answer your questions?
I think that pretty much explains
Yes,
everything.
but
That busted a lot of myths as well about product management, and definitely answered the question. So, yeah.
It sounds very interesting, though. It sounds very, very interesting. A lot of
it's
concept.
actually fun. Like initially, when I started, it sounds like, okay, even I came with those dreams. Okay, like I'll do some UX and do it, but
Yeah.
that satisfaction which you get when you solve problems and you make lives easier for some people, that's where our role comes in. Like
Right.
most of the time, you'll be working at the back end. So we are orchestrators. We are never at the fronting. Like you will have sales team pitching for your product. You will have marketing creating the leads. We will
Right.
have developers creating the product. So at the end of the day, somebody asks you, "Hey, what do you did?" Don't be surprised. Okay, that's a normal question to us.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
what if
So,
these questions pop up in your reviews? Then that can be scary as well.
that's what our job is. Like the way, like when somebody asks me like, how do you define product manager, I'll say, okay, product manager is the grease of the system. Okay, he makes sure all the pieces are working towards a common goal, and it's my job that everybody remains on the same page. That alignment is my responsibility. Like if the business goal is that we will improve the on-time delivery rate of 99% or of 100% or from X to Y value, then it is the product manager's job to make sure engineer understands it. It is his job that marketing understands it, sales understands it, and everybody is on the same page when you are rolling up. So it's like that the central person who is coordinating between these two people and handling business and handling UX. And there are a lot of ants above that.
All grades. Okay, so I have a question for you. Let's say I want to prepare for product management while I'm doing my MBA. So how should I prepare for that in respect to interviews and cases and things like that?
Like, start looking for problems around you.
Okay.
And when I say problems, I don't mean that you need to enter into software problems only. Like very basic problems. Like
Okay.
uh, as a student, you find it difficult to monitor the mark sheets onto the student notice board. Okay, your college is like coming from my college at that point of time, we'll have the notice board only.
Right, right.
Now, that's the mindset you need to develop. How would you solve it? Now, this is your problem. Now,
Okay.
how do I productize it or how do I solve it? Should I put it online or should I start sending mailers for it? Or
Wow.
before that, before that, you want to talk to these students also. Like, how do you want it? What are the problems you are facing? Maybe for some people, the font is small. Maybe for some people, they find it confusing with so much data. Maybe some people just want to know, tell me about today's classes or next day classes. Don't bother me with next week's classes.
Yeah.
So when you start seeing everything around you in that perspective, that's your half battle won in terms of interviews.
Right.
Like that's what people want to know, because you should be able to understand the problems and you should be able to articulate those things to other people. Like if you have to explain the solution to a marketing person or to the layman person, then how would you do it? You will always have to keep adjusting your tonality and pitch according to your target audience. And that's how you prepare yourself. Do a lot of case studies, make small student group sessions, pick up any application on the ground, like pick up any hardware product on the ground. Like for example, we want to design a TV for millennials. How
Right.
would you go? Make a strategy around it. Like, okay, first the question is, why should we make a TV for millennials? Okay, that should be the first question you should be asking yourself. Then you figure out the answer for it. That, okay, you work on the demand side, you will see what are the existing offerings into the market. Then you will make a case. Okay, now the problem statement is valid. Now, how
Yeah.
should we solve it? What do these millennials want? Then you will want to do a small study on what do these millennials want, and then make a picture out of it. Then work on. So this would give you an idea of like what all needs to be made. Okay. Then the second critical aspect, which is actually the most critical step into your whole all product management life cycle, is the prioritization. Like now you have 100 features roadmap, but which one you make first? And how do you take that decision? These are the kind of things which you can actually practice in MBA, which generally students do not know about. Like if I would have known, I probably would have solved a lot of case studies in my MBA course.
Right.
Because most of the case studies you get currently in the MBA courses are around like uh, figure out the financial impacts or balance the balance sheets, or there's a marketing case study. But the
Right.
problem with these approaches is that a marketing study is focusing only on the marketing aspect. A
Yeah.
financial case study is only looking at your cash flow aspects or the profit aspects. But
Right.
there is no case study which actually makes your brain focus on all these different parameters. Like if you want to design a product, you have to focus on its marketing strategy. You have to look for how would you sell it. You will have to look for the financials also. What will be your profit margins? At what price you will want to sell it up? Like what are the
Right.
competitors selling it for? What will
Right.
be the UX of it? What will be the UI of it? So
Yeah.
when you start understanding any problem from all the perspectives at one goal, that is when you can see that, okay, now, because every time you'll go into a product management interview, that's how it will always work out. Like nobody's going to ask you, for example, like, tell me what are the 4 P's of marketing. Okay. Even if
Okay.
you don't remember it personally, if I'm taking your interview, I will never be mad about, hey, he doesn't know कि वो place होता है या position होता है. Doesn't matter. Okay. But what matters is that if we are discussing, you should be able to see the complete holistic picture and not just in silo.
Okay.
So these are the two things which differentiate when you graduate from the MBA, and the silos which we have been studying on are most. So if you ask any MBA graduate, including me, we can tell you, okay, what were your electives? Marketing, finance, corporate finance, operations. But we don't generally get to learn about everything in one go.
Right.
And that is what you are expected to learn in industry, that they will teach you. Or if you enter into like a financial analyst role or a marketing manager role, then you have a direct mapping. But
Mm.
the skill which is required for product management, the holistic approach, that you're not getting taught directly into the course. So
Right.
that's why these group discussions will be beneficial for you. Like now when you appear for these interviews, now when you approach companies, you can prepare case studies beforehand. Like say for example, you like a company very much, and do a small analysis of that company from your perspective and tell them that, okay, I want to enter into product management. From your knowledge, this is what I feel, this is what the improvements. Do that.
Right.
There are a lot of things, but you need to start looking from that holistic perspective. Like silos won't help you if you start focusing on marketing more, because that's where your prioritization skill is there. That how do you want to prioritize it? Like for
Right.
example, WhatsApp or any
Yeah.
particular, just for debate's sake, let's pick WhatsApp. You have to make one-to-one messaging, you have to make a contact list, you have to make a broadcast messaging, you have to also make a group function, audio calling, video calling. Now the question arises, you only have limited set of resources at your hand. Like
Right.
what would be the MVP of the product? Which of these features you will make first and why? And can you ship it as a usable product? So MVP is ideally your usable product, and what goes inside is your toughest job. Trust me, that's the toughest thing a product manager has to do. When they have to sift through 200 requirements and decide that, okay, which are the 5 requirements you will be working on in the first verse.
Yeah.
And it
True.
requires a lot of data hunting. You have to back it up with data, like what will be the predicted adoption rates or how much benefit it's going to give you. I think,
Right.
and if these exercises, if you do, then probably you will take much less time than me. The time I took to understand those on job, and
Right.
it will give you in a habit of doing that. It's a more of a habit which you have to
Right.
cultivate.
Problem solving.
Yeah, that you do, you always ask yourself, like if somebody gives you a case study of marketing also, even if it doesn't mention, assume something, like okay, like there is a very famous case study around HMT watches.
Okay.
Right now, so you need to start with, okay, what would have been wrong at the strategy front? How would the financials would have been working? Was the
Right.
marketing the only problem with that particular company?
Yeah,
Hmm.
Right.
correct.
So you look
Right.
from all perspectives, then you can suggest bad, good things. Because product
Right.
managers are CEO in this one aspect. Okay, because you are the gatekeepers of what goes inside the product. And if
Yeah.
you falter, then the whole product crashes down. And so it's like if the leader goes wrong, then your whole chain behind you, like if you have designed a feature which is not required by the customers, then your marketing effort is waste, your sales effort is waste, because you were the person who were aligning them as per this final business goal.
Right.
So this data interpretation and analytics becomes a very crucial part. That is no harm if you don't want to do that thing at that point of time. But if you are doing it, just be sure that why we are doing it. Or release it faster so that you can fail fast and understand.
Right.
Wow. I think this line, I like this line that you are a mini CEO, but you are also the gatekeepers of the product because you are totally accountable for what goes inside the product. I mean, that's a
Yeah,
great
like when you
statement.
see, it's normal. Like if you're a product manager, even if a senior person tells you, after a certain time, he will leave it up to you. Like, okay, you
Yeah.
are the product manager, you decide what you need to make. You have shown me some metrics, and if they don't improve, then they will question you. So you need to be very clear. Like it's no longer like product manager cannot say he it might happen, or he needs to he must be the best friend of the customer.
Hmm.
Like he should be the person who understands the customer the most in the entire system. Then you will be like you will never have problems with like your features or your any prioritization, because you understand their pain point. And when you
Right.
understand, you can convince people around it that why you want to make it first, or why in the first place you want to make it.
Right.
And
Correct.
for people who want to go into their own startups or their own ventures, this thinking helps you there also, because at that point of time you are everything. You are CEO also, you are product manager also, you are business head also. And that point of time you cannot say it, okay, hey, I studied marketing as my main elective, but I don't understand anything. So you're not expected to be a CA, okay? But if I show you uh, earnings or the metrics or my margins, then you should be able to make insights out of it. Like, where am I losing? You should be able to guide these teams. Like, nobody will ask you to make balance sheets. Nobody is going to put you up on making marketing campaigns. But marketing team will be totally dependent on your inputs. Like, what would the value prop be like? What are they will also have their own studies. CI they also will do. But a large point of input will come from you as a product manager. Like, what
Correct.
are the competitors doing? What is the thing which we are doing which they are not doing? What are the differentiators of me? What are the things where we are the first person in the world? Where do we have a first mover advantage anywhere? So it's like you are the guide of the whole system, and if you falter over there, then the system crashes.
Yeah.
Very,
So like
very rightly
holistic
said.
is something which I believe all the students should focus on in the MBA, which unfortunately we don't as of now.
And one thing also I would like to add is, you have to deal with departments like marketing, sales, operations, and they all, and even tech, and they all have their requirements of, P0, P1 priority items. And then you have to normalize that. Ki, listen, marketing guy, your best priority item is not the best priority for the company. So that crucial decision is a very important. So that brings me to my next question. Seeing your journey, you have been working with Royal Bank of Scotland, ESO, Zycus, Shadowfax. There are companies who are MNCs, who are startups, and now some are, on the way to be a unicorn now. So can you just tell, the big debate around what is the difference between product management in a MNC versus what you face in a startup? So what sort of similarities or dissimilarities are there?
Why people should choose these small companies as their first companies, especially if you are fresher in the market. So
Yeah.
that's what answers this question. Like, when you are in an MNC, sometimes this holistic picture becomes difficult. And as a fresher, if you restrict your learning to a smaller set, like compensation and all are a separate journey altogether. Like, to be honest, a 6 years product management experience can have a just plain 6 years product management experience can have a package ranging from 10 lakhs to 60 lakhs. Okay, so that's not a criteria over there. Like, years of experience do not really matter into this field. Like, but for those initial 2 3 years, what you have learned in that particular startup from scratch to like, if you have shipped actually a product from scratch to the market, the kind of learning you will get over there while you are a product manager who is maintaining a legacy product in a big MNC,
Hmm.
it will be immensely different. You get
True.
more opportunities in the small companies to experiment. Like Assort, I still remember I never used to get paid from Assort. Like, I used to work for free for 1 year just because I wanted to learn it. Okay.
Wow.
And my friend who was the CEO, he would tell me, okay, I cannot give you compensation, but I'll give you enough tools so that you understand the entire infrastructure or ecosystem. Like, I got a hang of digital marketing, I got a hang of marketing, online listing, how these Chinese assembly lines work, how the custom people bug you over there, how the excise happens, then how the forwarder comes into picture, then there is an Amazon warehouse, then there is my warehouse. So even ended up, I remember it was funny because there was this one customer who got faulty earphones, and everybody is like, who is going to talk to him because that person doesn't understand Hindi. We will always, so I got a chance to work on those two. A lot of times I was the customer support executive also. Like,
Oh
I'm
my
talking to
God.
Like, okay, sir, what happened? What happened to your earphone? Tell me. I am the product head of this particular vertical. So those are the things you get to experience, like consumer psyche. Like,
Yep. Very important.
how do you price mobile accessories? If I just show you up in Samsung or any particular mobile manufacturing company, say Xiaomi, Micromax, or anybody, like they already have those models there. You already have the pricing models to some extent in place. You might be able to enhance them. But the learning you get if there is a new manufacturer who comes into picture, okay, Aditya, this is our company's first phone, and you have to make a pricing model for that. That's the time you goof up, and that's the time you learn a lot.
Yeah.
So, if you ask me, I'll always say that like the experience is totally different. Like in MNC, there is a more peace of mind because the processes are all set up, the teams are self-sufficient. Most of the time, they are all experienced people in their respective fields. Learning curve is less. They already have templates built in. While on the other hand, startup is a hustle. You have to like set up those processes yourselves. You are also new to the vertical. You have to learn from your seniors, fight it out, talk to your peers, get those processes running,
Yeah.
and set up that particular infrastructure. And I believe at least in the initial 2 3 years, at least one product, no matter what's the size of that particular product, or one feature or one module, one should work from scratch to the final end goal of like post-release customer support. Because I
Right.
still remember, I can tell you a story about it. Like in Zycus, the engineering head once calls me and he's like, "Okay, Sachin, tell me, what is the most important quality of a product manager?" And I just joined as an APM. Okay, so it's like 1 year down the journey. And I was like, "Okay, sir, analytical skills. Then we have business acumen. So all the jargons they like put over there like anything." Then he comes up, "No, okay, that's a shocker." Then it's like negotiation skills and persuasion skills, because you have to work, you are never working on all those things directly.
Yeah.
Somebody else is working on. You are there for alignment of the vision and figuring out what needs to be done and how it needs to be done.
Yeah.
There will be always be a UX guy, at least in an MNC. In a startup you might end up doing the UX also yourself. Just be prepared for it. So well, it's very difficult to say. Like, if you get a chance to work in a MNC, grab it. But if you ever have a choice between, like, you can work either in a initial stage startup or a big MNC, I probably think it's because of the trade-off you want to take off. Like, I started without salary for a year. Like, if you can do that, go for it. Because the time you invest in those 2 3 years is going to be very crucial. You need to
Right.
understand the basics. But to answer your question in one line, the difference is the ease of the work. Like in an MNC, most of the things are set up, but then there is a trade-off because the moment you have more number of processes, the throughput decreases.
Right.
While in a startup, because the process is lean, you get approvals faster, you get sync up faster, the teams are mostly co-located, and it's a
Right.
small version of team, and you get to interact with, there are no middle layers mostly. So
Yeah.
like I can talk to my CTO freely, I can talk to my CEO freely, I can take their inputs. Like when they started it, they have more business acumen on that. Or in my past companies also. Like if you ask me in the ESOT was also similar environment that I could talk to these owners themselves and I could gain insights from them. But while in bigger companies like RBS, I still remember in RBS, there was one change we had to do, which was like just, I think we had to change a decimal place somewhere. It took 6 months.
What?
That
Oh
was
my
like
God.
cool. Like first he will give it to me, then we will send it to Netherlands. In Netherlands, somebody will approve it, then it will go to legal, then it will go to compliance. And after 6 months, somebody tells you that okay, do that one line of code change. While in small companies, the startup that's faster. Okay, you want legal? Okay, let's bring legal on the table right now. If you want
Right.
compliance, okay, let's do it. Or If you are an initial employee, then you end up doing all this stuff yourself. But okay, Google is your best friend. So like that's the difference. Like a startup prepares you more from a more wider perspective and changes your perspective on that front. While in MNC, you do get better with the processes. You might be better in terms of like, you might be a better Excel modeler than the person who is working in a startup. But the kind of problems a startup guy can see at the ground, the granularity which they understand, that might be a good, or I must say that what he learns in 1 year, it might take you 2 to 3 years to learn over there. So it
Correct.
totally depends what are the priorities over there. Like if you
You want to
want,
learn.
yeah, if you, what you want to learn, if you always want to stay is mostly like a business person or business heads, but if you want to get into a like whole holistic solution, you want to set up some your own company sometime, or you want to enter into consulting business over there, then you need to focus more on the holistic sides. At that point of time, you should do startups more.
Right.
That's right. I think
Very
Shilpi would
insightful.
also agree. Working with Byju's now moving to a unicorn position. You
Yeah,
get
it's
a
hard
lot
to
of
unicorn.
learning in a startup. Yeah,
Oh yeah, definitely. When I joined Byju's, we were just 50 of us, and we were
yeah.
literally doing everything. We were
And now
doing
it's
everything. In
already a
fact,
unicorn.
Byju's
Yeah,
himself was talking to customers. So yeah, he was.
That's what, right. I think that then Shilpi must be having the similar experience as me when you are an early joiner company. Like even though you take care of sales, Shilpi, right?
Yeah, I
Like,
do. I
but
do.
I'm sure if
But
she
we
was
did
a
everything.
joiner, she
Yeah.
must have worked every vertical out
Yes,
there.
definitely. At one point, we were writing articles. We were doing everything.
oh my
That
God.
happens, and that's the fun part. Like somehow
Yeah.
I don't know what others feel, but I tend to enjoy that holistic bit more. Like I don't want to be a typical marketing guy or a sales guy or something. I want, even though I'm working in that vertical, but I need to understand what how other verticals are functioning.
Do you also agree that the most important skill is negotiation, or is that just what you're?
So it's actually valid skill because see, prioritization and
Right.
alignment. Okay,
Right.
and you have no direct reportees.
Yeah.
So now imagine you need to get work done from an
Convince people.
engineer and a marketing person who do not report to you.
Yeah.
You have nothing which you can grill them on. You can
Yeah.
always go via escalation route, but that's not something which you want to do every day. Because a
Right.
lot of things happen in product management out of at interpersonal level.
Yeah.
There are a lot of it's more of a relationship building with the marketing life. Like half the time I might not just formally reach out to them. I might just call them up. But okay, there is an issue on the ground. Can you look it up on priority? And if you
Yeah.
have that kind of camaraderie over there, then you can do it. You cannot always go with formal channels or escalating to his boss, then my boss will come into picture. And then by that time that happens, your go-to-market date is gone.
Right.
So your
Right.
negotiation, interpersonal, prioritization skills, like you need to understand. Like if I have to give a word to it, it will be empathy. Like you need to understand what they are going through. Like
Right.
if I have to ask an engineer, okay, you already have 5 items in a plate. You
Uh-huh.
need to put this sixth item in your plate on priority. Then I have to
Right.
think from this perspective also. Like I have to
Right.
understand what the other 5 items are. If those 5 items are from some other product manager, then I have to first go to them also to ask them so that he doesn't get the beating of it. Same
Right.
goes with marketing. Like sometimes you will get questions like why we should we do it. Then you have to explain to them, okay, see, this is the impact customers are facing. They are getting errors or they are getting blocked, and that's how you get it done.
Yeah.
Like product manager is supposed to be the calmest guy in the room. When everybody's shouting, he's just sitting and
You're the
figuring out.
glue, right? You're the glue.
He's the person who is sitting around. I'm still like I'm a little far from that point right now, but yes, that's the final goal. Like no matter how chaotic it is, he's supposed to be the one person who like still manages to bring everyone on the table at the same page and keep that momentum on towards the common goal, which
Right.
is your products or company's end vision that okay, this is where you want to reach.
Right. Interesting. So, what do you think are the few biggest myths about product management?
The biggest myths is that people don't understand this holistic bit. Like
Yeah.
people understand product management as, like, some people think that product management is just marketing.
Yeah.
Then there are some people who confuse product management with project management. Okay, but product management is not equal to project management.
Okay.
Uh, Project management is more related to managing when you have decided more from the execution perspective. Like
Right.
as a project, how you want to execute it, manage it, timeline it, manage the resources, people management. Like as a product manager, I do not do people management more unless until you have some junior product manager you are mentoring. There is no
Right.
people management. There is stakeholder management. So
Yeah.
to differentiate, project management involves people management. Product management is more around stakeholder management. You need to keep them all happy. The other kind of myth is that some people come from that perspective. Like this is generally what I see when I meet students or when I meet people who want to enter into product management, that they think that UI design and UX design, like I will do only UX design. I like that, so I want to be a product manager, I'll do that. But buddy, that's not happening. Okay, that's the first phase of your product. Once you
Right.
have done that, now there are other things to do also. Like now it's in development, you have to go into technical meetings, maybe sometimes end up discussing application architecture with them, then sit with the QA to review his test cases also, that okay, if there is a case missed also. Then you might end up sitting with a marketing team also, that okay, now we have to make a marketing campaign out of it. So let's decide what will be the like value props, where all we want. So you will be, your input would be required at all those stages. And if you come from that particular myth that product management is some vertical, no, it's not a vertical. It's a central team. It's a common pool of people who work for entire organization. They might be assigned to verticals, like for this vertical's product, this person would be working. But what all teams are there, like marketing, sales, customer support, engineering, QA, your customer support executives, your senior management team, your clients, everybody would be involved in those. You can no longer be like, you have to be jack of all.
Yeah.
So does that answer your question, Shilpi?
It does.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think it was very helpful, I would say.
Yeah.
And Sachin, now in this section, I would talk about your other stint in entrepreneurship. You know, people say that product managers are the entrepreneurs inside the company. They take a lot of founder level decisions and have to, as you said, think holistically as to, you know, how the customer is, how my partners are, how my vendors are, and how the internal stakeholders are working. So, from product management to entrepreneurship, if you can also, talk about that. You know, how about your working in ISO and Review Bay? How did that happen? And any sort of correlation?
Like entrepreneurship is more of a mindset which you have. Like if you look at all the startups in past 2 3 years, the founders were the initial product heads of those particular companies. Okay? So
Yeah.
anybody who has that holistic view, that is your primary stepping stone as a product manager or as a company. Like some people are more comfortable working for a company or stay less invested, get that kind of freedom. So product management gives you a flavor of entrepreneurship. It gives you enough freedom to work across different verticals. So it's like you are an entrepreneur, but an in-house entrepreneur. Okay. When you say full-time startup, then if you are prepared for it, you might need to be more aggressive about it in terms of the task you do now, because you solely would be invested in it. You will be full-time associated with it. But the skill set is more or less same. Like let it be a product manager or let it be an entrepreneur. You need to understand the holistic picture. Like as a founder of a company, you cannot be the person who doesn't understand your customer. Like you should be the person who understands your customers best. Then only
Right.
you can solve a problem. Like
Yeah.
one fine day, if I have an idea in my mind that okay, I'll sell this particular XYZ thing online. That's not an entrepreneurship. That's not a venture. I don't consider it as a venture because you should be clear what you are solving. And that's then only when then your venture would be successful, you will learn. And even though it's not successful, at least you'll have a definite set of earning or learning. So that's pretty much which I feel that there's no direct correlation, but yes, in terms of mindsets, yes. Uh, the mindset required for product management and the mindset required for being a successful entrepreneur are more or less on the similar lines. Both of them have to understand the entire picture right from scratch to the end. They have to be like at least jack of everything or be willing to learn those things. Like you cannot say as a founder that, okay, CA hasn't come today, my balance sheet won't work. Or today I won't create a balance sheet. I don't know how to create a balance sheet. Okay, you don't know, but today he's not there. Then what you need to do? At least you should have the understanding. And even though in your answer, like this is more from my friends' experiences, like if you are running a company, right, you should have at least that much knowledge that you can ask the right questions to your team. Like you are not, might not be a CA, okay, but
Right.
when you see a cash flow or when you see a P&L statement, you should be at least that much understanding you should have that where are my profits leading to? Are there any anomalies over there? You should be able to write, like ask your finance guy that, okay, why this is happening? Why this
Right.
costing is happening? Or you should be able to ask your marketing team that, okay, you should understand basic what the funnel means, basic what the conversion means. Nobody expects you to be a bond of it. But right questions, right mindset, I think these two, if you have, you can actually do good in product management and entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
I think that
Right.
pretty much
But
explains.
so you are saying a product, someone who's done product management would be a really good entrepreneur.
Sorry?
Someone who's
Yeah.
very good at product management would eventually be really good at entrepreneurship too.
Yeah, it depends like how that product management guy has cultivated mindset. Like
Right.
if he still wants to be in that particular silo, like you have to breach your comfort zone, to be honest. Like with my stint in entrepreneurship, when I was running that company, it takes a lot of toll on you. Like you don't have money, you don't have, if you have a full-time job, then you don't get time for it. And so there are a lot of factors which play in at that point of time. And
Right.
if you're not ready for it, then it won't happen. Like product
Right.
management doesn't make you an entrepreneur. But yes, it does give you, if you want to learn, you can learn more about how to understand these things, how
Right.
to interpret things around you.
Right.
Like people who have started just after MBA into product management, they might be having more experience. They might turn out to be like setting up ventures faster. Or
Mm.
Hmm.
there are cases like when you don't, they were not product managers earlier. They were like college pass outs, college dropouts. It's
Right.
always in the sense of mindsets. Like because see, product management is not going to change your mindset. Maybe
Right.
someday, because the way the education system is structured, you might get placed also as a product manager just on the count of your college brand. But
Right.
when you enter the industry, if you don't have that mindset, you won't progress.
Correct.
Yeah.
Like
True.
product management industry, they're like what? In a company, the smallest team probably would be the product management company or team over there. Like, and if you are not ready for it, or if you have a mindset problem or you have an attitude problem, then no matter how much time you spend in product management, you can never be a good entrepreneur. A good
Yeah.
entrepreneur has to be best at empathy. He needs to understand the customer's problem. He
Right.
needs to understand why he is making certain things. And he
Right.
should be open to feedback.
Yeah.
Like as a product manager, you have to cultivate that. It
Mm.
Okay.
helps, but even if you're not a product manager, you can still be an entrepreneur. So that's what I like to
Right.
Yeah.
say.
Yeah.
Sachin, basis, what all have you talked about? I have just a follow-up question. As is how much, you said that product management requires a lot of interactions with marketing. A lot of those interactions also happen with the tech team, who are hardcore coders and, people do write PRDs and all those interactions with the CEOs and all of that. So how much is the weightage of technical skills when you are a product manager? Like, if I have to ask it, do you need to have skills like tech skills, especially when you are being a product management? And what are these good to have tech skills?
See, it just helps. Like it depends. So like product management has also got different styles of focus areas. Like there are technical product managers, there are functional product managers. Like people who focus on creating subscription programs, on creating your loyalty programs. These people are also product managers. If you are in that kind of role, maybe you won't require the technical skills a lot. But if you are in a company which is a tech heavy company like MS, Amazon, Shadowfax, or for that matter, any startup which you take, which has a robust technical stack, it does helps you in a way because you are able to understand the problem of these people or your tech guys, your testers. You are able to talk into their language, or you can make them understand things better. But it comes at a cost of trade-off because now it takes some time to unlearn what you learned at the time of engineering. Like while coming from the engineering, the biggest roadblock is we start thinking from the feasibility perspective.
Right.
Now, it has been like 4 years since I worked in engineering. The technology has changed, the capabilities have changed. Sometimes that become like a hurdle in your thought process. Like you tend to constrain or restrain your thought process in terms of features because you assume certain thing is not possible. And that's where like it took me a good 2 3 years to work past that thing. Like my manager would be always telling me that, okay, don't worry about whether it's feasible or not, the tech team will tell you.
Right.
But from your perspective you have to be like, just imagine everything is possible. Feasibility is the second step, but if you constrain it at the first point itself, then you're not leading to anywhere.
Right.
So it helps because you understand their language, you understand their problems, you are able to convey your problems better. And sometimes for analytics and all, you don't have to be dependent on them. Like as a product manager, I write SQL queries. If you ask me to write a script, I can write a script also. So
Right.
it gives me a little bit more freedom in terms of dependency on people. Like
Right.
I'm not dependent on them. And plus now the trust factor develops more because they understand that, okay, this person comes from
Yeah.
technical background and he understands like what we are saying. It is not the case that, okay, every time every party is just fighting across. That doesn't happen.
Right.
So I think that's a good part of tech. If you can overcome this feasibility bit, that you should not let that experience hinder your thought process. Because tech changes, capability changes. Maybe you had a different team at that point of time. Maybe there was a capability issue. Maybe there was a resource issue. It can be anything. Let feasibility and what will be a problem be a second step. And sometimes coming from engineering background, that becomes difficult because we tend to over engineer or overthink something.
Right.
We don't let that thought process free. That, okay, what, let's try to do this. How it will happen, that we will discuss it out.
But is it a requirement? No.
No, it's not a requirement. Like I have seen product managers who come from Polytechnic diploma, who come from electrical engineering, mechanical engineering, some from pharmacy also, pharmacy, biotech. So I've seen literally like every kind of product manager. Like so, it's that's why I say like it's more about mindset. Like when you're deciding to get into product management, nobody's worried about your degrees.
Yeah.
They're not even going to ask you. You have studied chemistry or biology in your course. You understand numbers. You can analyze data. You can understand how the holistic picture looks like. Okay, works for me. Good. Ready to go into product management. Just
Mhm.
cultivate those skills. There's no course for it. Uh, Nobody asks you any book question or any buzzword in product management and tech. They will ask you case studies. Like let's
Okay.
improve a product. Make a solution. So if you can create good solutions which are hole punched from all the sides, then you're ready. Take the plunge. Go for it.
Right. So I wanted to ask you now. Now you know the whole COVID situation is happening, and it's literally shaken up the entire world. So, what sort of transformation or updates do you think are required in today's products to be COVID proof?
See,
Yeah,
not just
we
about
see.
yes, because so it's mostly around uh, because people's behavior is changing. Like even if you look from your parents' perspective or people from, especially in the tier 2 and tier 3 cities, like if you see earlier, they were more used to buying stuff in person. They had that
Yeah.
trust factor and that societal system over there. But now
Right.
because of COVID, everybody is coming online.
Yeah.
So you have to keep that safety aspect in mind.
Right.
Like, and if you are working in different industries, then you have to understand that, okay, what your team is going through, how you can make or how you can make them more efficient, save cost, and how you can make them able or enable them to work remotely into the system. Majorly, it is from that e-commerce bit which you see, and these shopkeepers which are being impacted a lot. Like
Right.
you want to make a solution for them, make a solution for the shopkeepers. Like that's how you look for problems. COVID
Right.
came, problem. Nobody is coming to shopkeeper. What should we do? That's a problem statement. Solve it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also now we see that the entire economy and entire system is moving online. We see, we can relate to Shilpi's experience as well. People are shifting online. Degrees are being granted online. A lot of sessions. We see the entire world has moved to Zoom now. So yeah, all those behavioral aspects have totally changed. Which we didn't predict earlier. And now I think a lot needs to go in the new age products, be it logistics, hyperlocal.
Yeah, actually, the consumer psyche is changing. Like people earlier were little bit hesitant and reluctant in buying stuff online.
Right.
Nowadays, because of this compulsion, they have started appreciating the benefits of this.
Yeah.
Like on the other hand, now, but because of this, the behavior is changing. The people who were there in B&M stores, these B&M stores, people also need a way in. That's where a lot of companies are innovating. That somebody is servicing them via some different solution, like logistics is there. Then they have marketplaces and all. Then there is company who are working with them as a sellers. That okay, Swiggy Go works. Okay, you can pick up from anybody. Like these
Right.
are the kind of solution which you want. Like you have
Yeah,
some limitations that people won't come out. They have a safety constraint. How do you put up these controls where your team and the customer both feel safe?
correct,
And
Sachin.
actually, this consumer behavior change is good for the online industry because now gradually you will see. But the problem where it will get stuck is the purchasing power is reduced of people because of COVID.
Yeah.
Which is quite an interesting thing to observe, probably for in a year or two, that how the industry shapes up. But yes, this trend of offline to online, yes, that's like looks like a good change, and people have started appreciating a lot. Like, why
Correct.
should I go or walk to the store when I
Yeah.
can
That makes
purchase
sense.
it online?
Yeah, even
Right.
investors are showing a lot of interest, in companies of edtech,
Like people had a
hyperlocal,
problem. Maybe,
e-commerce.
yeah, maybe people had a problem earlier that okay, what if grocers or these big basket or something sends me stale vegetables? Okay, noted. These companies are going to send you now fresh vegetables. That problem is solvable. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
that now the onus is on these companies because now the traffic is moved. Now you have to give them the same quality of service which they were getting at the local kirane wala.
Right.
Like, that is an interesting proposition to see. Like some companies are working on it. Like some companies give you an option on the doorstep, like you can select vegetables and you can just sort them out and send back earlier. That's like a close experience you can feel. Like how closer you can piggyback that experience is something which will be a key.
correct. I think that's very enlightening, I would say. And I think this pretty much sums up all our curious questions that we had, that me and Shilpi had for you. So, in last, what do you think? What is your message to college grads or MBA grads, especially young corporates who are trying to aspire for a career in product management? What can be your message for them?
It's a fun journey. Like just focus on understanding and learning a lot more. Just be aware of your surroundings. Like
Yeah.
look for the small problems. Brainstorm with your classmates. That okay, hey buddy, I see a traffic problem a lot. Let's work on a solution. You might not execute it, but when you are preparing that solution, it will give you a lot of learning because then you will look from a not just from a macro lens, but you also will look at the micro lens. You will look
Yeah.
from economics perspective. You will look from people's perspective.
Correct.
That will give you that kind of learning. So just keep doing that.
Thank you, Sachin, for taking all our questions. I think it enlightened our viewers to take conscious business decisions where they want to do a career in product management or not. A lot of confusions and myths have been busted in the show today, and how you can prepare for a career in product management. All of that you have discussed. I think that was brilliant. You tried to relate it with your own journey in entrepreneurship and product management, your journey in MNCs, in startups, and what a person can do if they are having an MBA or not having an MBA, how they should go about in a career in product management. You also talked about basic business interactions with leaderships, with basic business teams like marketing, operations, how you deal with that, what should be your thought process. We have covered all of that. I think that would enlighten the audience to take conscious business decisions. I also want to thank Shilpi as well, because she has been busy. We have been talking to and fro, and like she had an interaction with CEO in her team. So thank you, Shilpi, for joining us in this show.
Thanks a lot. In fact, now I want to shift to product management.
Oh wow! See, we have got the first inspiration. We've already inspired one person right from the house.
My
And I would
pleasure.
urge the viewers, if they like the video, please give it a thumbs up. Do share your suggestions in the comments as to what all you want me to cover in the next session. What business function you like to see? We have already covered consulting. Now we cover product management. And do subscribe to the video to stay tuned and stay updated with the next content. Thanks a lot. Bye bye.
Aditya. Thanks, Shilpi. Thanks, everyone. Bye bye.
Yeah, cut.